Hello everybody. In this lecture we will learn about microservice architecture and we will learn what is the difference between monolithic and microservices based architecture. So traditionally monolithic architecture were used where we will have a user interface and the user interface will communicate with the server for different business functionalities like user profile, orders, products, notifications, payments, etc. And all these server functionalities fall into one single server. And the server will, as and when needed, the server will communicate with the DB, which is also common amongst all this business functionality you can see here. So why it gave birth to the microservice architecture, that we need to understand first. So if you see here, all the business functionalities are under the same server. So in any case, if the server goes down, all of the functionalities will stop working. So consider you are accessing this particular web application, and if the orders page is down, you will realize that all the pages of the web application websites are down. This can happen in monolithic architecture. So if you are facing any performance issues, if you're facing if you're having some kind of sales going on, or Black Friday going on, or Thanksgiving going on, and you can see the rise in case of orders, then you will face performance issues, scaling issues for the orders, but it will take down the entire server and it will affect other business functionalities as well. So in case you want to scale up the server, or you want to deploy new changes, code changes, you have to update entire repo. The deployment itself is going to take a lot of time, causing the downtime for the server and bad user experience. So if you see here, for any minor code changes, you want to deploy all the functionalities or entire code base, which is also time consuming. Then the code base is such a huge, which increases the complexity of the code, and everything here is tightly coupled. So you cannot make the changes that because it has a lot of dependency which other modules, you cannot make the changes very easily. So that is a disadvantage. So see, if you see all these points, you will see why it gave birth to microservice architecture. One more point, if you consider here, like you have to change the technology stack. Suppose you are using Java, and for some performance optimization you want to move towards other programming language, Python or any other language. In that case, you cannot separate this. You cannot separate like I want to update the technology stack for orders. You need to update it for all the things. You need to update it for all your pages, all your modules here. So that is also difficult to change the model. Even if you want to update the DB for particular module, you cannot do that. Everything is tightly coupled here. So now let us move and see how the microservice architecture looks like.
So this is microservice architecture, where you can see that it is a subset of the server which we saw in monolithic architecture. All the business logic modules are divided into separate services, and it has a separate code base, it has a separate database. So looking at this, you can see that why microservices architecture is preferred, because you can see all the modules are separated. So when we discuss monolithic architecture, you have seen we have discussed that if any particular module goes down, or the server goes down, all your pages on the websites are down. But in the microservice architecture, it is not the case. If your products base is down, you can still place the order, you can still make the payments, and all your other pages are working. Even if you face any performance issues and you have to scale up a particular module, say orders microservice, if you want to scale that up, you can still do it, and there won't be much downtime or delay for the user. And other pages will be working fine. Even if you see for the code deployments or any code changes, the complexity is reduced. So it is simple to make changes because you are making changes to particular module. If you are making changes to products module, you don't need to update orders and payments and other modules. So you can see it's loosely coupled here. Plus, if you want to make any other changes, like if you want to update the db, say you want to improve the performance of the db calls, so if you want to update a db for any particular service, so in this diagram you can see for notifications service, the db is updated to mongodb. So this is also possible. You can have separate kind of databases for your separate microservices. You can also update the technology stack very easily because you can make that changes module wise. So you decided to move for orders module from say Java Beans to Spring Boot, you can do it. So that consumes less of your time. You can think of doing it on the in the agile system. If you see, so if you see in agile world where there are complex architecture, then microservices are definitely preferred because it keeps your code base and database separately, and this gives birth to contract testing. So in the next module we will learn about how the microservices communicate with each other, because if you see the monolithic architecture, the traditional one, the communication is pretty straightforward. The front end, the user interface communicates with a single backend, but here the communication is bit complex because it has multiple microservices and multiple backends. So that we will see in our next lecture.